Hello everyone. Welcome for today's topic. Today we are going to brush something little about seeing yourself in the mirror of God. Before we proceed, you need to press that subscription button. You will be notified when new videos are out. Also, you can get to watch the future movies and videos. So let's jump into our topic. It is very key and also very important to see yourself in the mirror of God because God designed you in a unique way. He used His own image, He invested His resources, He spent a lot of resources just knitting you together. So be strong, courageous, because you put your trust in God. When we read from the book of Joel, chapter 3 to 10, we see God telling us that let the weak say that they are strong. God used that example to tell us that we are strong. If you are weak, you need to proclaim that you are strong. So God did not make a mistake when creating you. He made a perfect somebody. God spent a long time grafting you, knitting you together. God does not make worthless things. Of course, God makes kings. He made you to conquer the world. He made you to look after His creation. So He invested a lot of time, a lot of resources in knitting you together. Let's jump into our example number one. We have a prophet called Daniel. This guy was one of the amazing characters in the Bible. This prophet was captured and he was detained in a den full of lions. That was the famous form of detention that was used during the hard times. So Daniel was captured, he was detained in a den of lions. The amazing part is that Daniel rested in between the lions. All of us, you can see Daniel resting in between the lions. He was not shivering. You can see him. He was not worried. He did not have all those thoughts. If it was some of us, we could be seen jumping all over the wall, screaming. All of us, we would have fainted. Yeah, so you can see that Daniel was very confidently. In fact, he was walking around the place. He was calm. He had rested for God to do His part. So here you can see that God delivered Daniel because Daniel delivered and showed a lot of trust in God. So first thing which Daniel did, he saw himself in the mirror of God and he said into himself that he will fear nothing because God was on his side. So we have another example. We have Noted David and Goliath. We have a young youth who was called David. David was the smallest in his father's house. He was a sheep attendant. He used to look after the sheep. So his brothers were enrolled in the army. They were used to fight for their country. So there was this giant who was called Goliath. He was killing a lots and lots of Israel's army. So David went to the king. He decided to fight. He proved to the king his skills that he had killed a lion, so he can go and kill Goliath. What did the king do? The king, of course, gave him his best war suits. So they clothed David in the war suits, but the war suits happened to be oversized for David. All of us can see David. The suits were oversized to him. He could not even make a movement. The spear, the sword was too big for David. The nice thing with David is that he did not give up, despite that the suit was oversized, the sword was too big for him. He never gave up. He used the simple weapons. He just picked up his weapon, he wore his clothes, and rushed to the battlefield. So it's amazing to see that David taking his simple weapon and going to the battle. That demonstrates a lot of faith. So you can see that Goliath was an enormous person. He had all the weapons, He had a shield. He had all what it takes to win the battle. He had experience in the wars. He was a qualified man. Of course, he had killed a lot of Israelites' armies. But that was not the case. You can see David was a tiny man. He was not even close in the war attires. He did not even possess the great skills in battle. So David just ran into the battle and confronted the Goliath. So Goliath just saw the weakness in David. One thing with David is that he was trusting in God. He trusted that God will help him win the battle. That's why he went the way he was. He did not give excuses like, I do not have all suits, I do not have a perfect weapon, look, the suits was given, they were oversized, I'll not go since I'm disqualified. He saw God was qualified for the war. He saw God as the whole experience. He decided to go the way he was. He did not give excuses. So many of us, we give a lot of excuses like, I'm disqualified. Who has disqualified you? You are disqualifying yourself. So you need to focus and face that situation or head on. Know that God is with you and you're gonna win the battle. So David decided to attack Goliath. So Goliath was mocking David. Look at this small boy. I'll just kill him like I've killed a dozen of his armies. I've consumed a lot of armies. Now this boy has not even the qualification to fight. I will just kill him. David, on the other hand, was thinking about God, seeing how God might use the small weapon to do a lot of work. So Daniel just made good use of his weapon to Goliath. Maybe this was a weak weapon, but to David, who knew how God makes things happen, he knew this was a perfect weapon. So David just released his weapon, and enormously Goliath was down. He was knocked down. All the armies which were gathered around him, they ran away. They have never even witnessed uh, Goliath being defeated that way. So David won the war using a simple weapon. What you can see from here is that God making use of that weak weapon to establish his will or his work. On the other hand, you can have Goliath, a strong person, qualified in war, having all the things, but being defeated by use of a small and a weak weapon. So just take courage. God is with you, and you're gonna make things work perfectly well. All you need is to focus yourself through the eyes of God. See yourself that you are strong, you are qualified for a job. So don't let situation pin you down. Tell them the God you have, the God is great. If God made that small weapon David has to work enormously well, he's gonna make that little thing you have to make perfectly good work. So let's jump in and see some of challenges we go through. For this one, we can see a cat here. This cat is seeing a shadow of a lion. So definitely this cat thinks himself to be a lion. So this is going to affect the way this cat thinks. This cat thinks he is the king of the jungle. So automatically this cat is going to behave like a king of jungle. He is going to scare even the dogs. He is going to scare the dogs. He is going to walk like a king of the jungle. This cat is going to be a great cat. Reason because the mentality in mind tells him that he is the king of the jungle. So all what matters is the image you have in your head. Do you think you are weak? Do you think you are strong? The image in your mind is the one which rules you out. If God tells you you are strong, why should you tell yourself you are weak? For those of us who are sick, you are in bed, you don't have hopes in life, there is hope in life. You pray, trust in God. He said He wanna heal you, He will heal you. What He needs from you is faith. Do you believe in His words? Do you believe you're gonna be well? And all will be well with you. So you better demonstrate that trust and believe in His words, and it's gonna work perfectly well. So we have another category of people. They say they don't have money, poverty is killing them. Others, we have a lot of excuses. Some of us say there are no jobs, some say they are poor. Remember, before God makes something, He makes a plan for it. Remember, when He was creating the world, He just created the world, planted the Garden of Eden, put animals into it. Then later on, He creates man. So what did God do? He made necessary importance. He created what man will use before He created the man. So before you are born, you have everything you need in its place. If it's a job, before you born, job was made first. If it's a home, all the resources you require in this world were made for you purposely before you are born. So everything is in His place. You need to rely on God, depend on Him, trust in Him, and He's gonna lead you towards your resources. He will show you this is your job, this is the job I made it purposely for you, and it is gonna be well. It is an example of somebody wearing an oversized shoes. Of course, the oversized shoes will not fit in you, so you need to depend on God to show you the correct size of job to you. Many of us are working in other jobs, the job are too oversized for you. Just you need to rely on God, and He's gonna show you the best and perfectly fitting job for you. So see yourself in the mirror of God and know that God has good plan for you, plans for your success, plan to establish you. Stop seeing yourself in the mirror of the image, in the image of the devil. See yourself in the image of God.